Greetings YouTube, and welcome to one of those videos that I am only making because I was approached via the Line app by a couple of people this morning with the same issue, and it's an issue that's really significant to the game for a couple of reasons that I'm going to outline. But several mid-tier alliances, I have been told, and certainly this forum discussion post, which of course has now been closed by Kabam, kind of echoes that. There's quite a few people who basically woke up to a discovery that they had been dropped by 300 points in their Alliance War rating, and it was a discussion about a perceived issue of piloting. Now, generally, we are to presume that the definition of piloting in the Marvel Contest of Champions community includes someone else logging in for you and fighting for you. That is, at least in my understanding, the definition of piloting. It sort of takes the definition of somebody taking over the plane and flying the plane for you. Hence, they're becoming the pilot of the plane, and they are now the pilot of your account for anyone who maybe still doesn't know what that word means. At least that's what that means to me. But here's the deal. Multiple people on this thread, and I will say this. I don't know these people, right? I have some significant trust issues, I guess, in a way that I don't easily mistrust people that talk to me. So maybe I can be deceived quite easily, and maybe I am being deceived quite easily, but I'm also seeing a pattern here that's worth noting. And that pattern is that, especially because of the recent overheating of devices, several people have gone to backup devices like iPads and maybe older iPhones. So basically what I've been told is that when a device starts to overheat, they will log in with their account on a different device and play their game, of course, from their own account. So here's two problems with this current discussion. So Kabam, because of their policy, doesn't actually ever say who it was in the alliance that piloted. So the poor alliance leader that is told that you lost those points has no idea how to solve the problem. So they are counting on contacting their other 29 members and saying, hey guys, who piloted? And most of the time, because people want to protect themselves, even if they did pilot, they're not going to admit it. And so you're left to basically just wake up every day and fear that you're going to get a further 300-point deduction. But I think the bigger problem in this is that if all 29 other members, and of course the alliance leader, truly don't think they're piloting, and are just doing something like logging into multiple devices in the same day to avoid the overheating problem, which of course is a problem that's on Kabam and not on the user, then what's to stop from this continuing to happen over and over again? Because if you don't know why you're being deducted points and you're not told who is the guilty violator, shall we say, you're left to have to change behavior that you're not sure which behavior is causing the deduction of points, only to lead, inevitably, if you do the same kind of patterns of logging in, to further 300-point deductions, if not even worse, if Kabam decides to do multiple points for a multiple infraction alliance. So I get in some ways why Kabam is so insistent on trying to protect the people who are guilty, but it's really causing alliance leaders a headache because, you know, in the top tier alliances that really were piloting and they were hiring people for piloting, there was no mystery. If you're sending cash to somebody to fight your fights overseas, that's, you know, blatant piloting. And if you get caught, you're just like, hey, I got caught. But if you're in one of these mid-tier, maybe like a Gold 1 alliance, and you're really doing all you can to not have people log in for you and fight, then, you know, so be it. I also want to say that the rumor and the theory on this post has been something. I am not going to pretend to say that I haven't in the past seen issues with this in every alliance I've been in, because let's face it, if somebody goes on holiday, or in my case, I travel from city to city in Podunk, Oklahoma, and there are some cities that legitimately don't have cell phone reception, probably because they have more cattle in their town than people, and somebody needs to place on Alliance War Defense, they will log in for that person, but they won't fight for them, right? They'll just make sure they're either placed in Alliance War, or maybe they can use up their energy to move in Alliance Quest or Alliance War, but they don't actually fight the fight. And yet, I guess now in the metric of the Kabam piloting, and this could be a reason why so many alliances are seeing that 300-point deduction, that still technically could be flagged as piloting because you're moving for them on their account, even though you're not fighting for them. It's the logging in that's pulling up the red flag, not the fight itself. So definitely a lot of issues to discuss that are important toward the future of alliances. It's very difficult in this position to know, again, why these points were lost, and most importantly, who caused the alliance to lose the points. And I really feel for these alliances that got this 300-point deduction, because if everybody is telling the truth and no one really feels like they're piloting because no one's logging in for anyone else and fighting for them, then you're just basically going to be even more of the case of saying, hey, sorry, I guess we're going to have to bring somebody in that isn't you if you are out of the country and can't log in or whatever, because we can't risk a further point deduction, even if it's just to place your defense or help move you so that someone else can fight with your energy. And yes, that's probably going to cause even more alliances to disband eventually, because the chance of getting 30 people to where 1 or 2 people don't have that issue of needing somebody to place their defense or move them for energy, especially when Alliance Quest is not 30-minute timers, it just becomes a lot easier to have happen. It's just something that makes it to where I just wish there was a safe way to do it, because Kabam always says to us, hey, we're trying to figure out a way, because we know you all have lives and significant others and, hell, kids in a lot of cases, and you can't play the game all day, and we don't want you to get divorced because of MCOC, though I've been told that that's happened by some people, and that's a really sad situation. But regardless, like, if we're told that we don't want people to have to spend all day playing this addictive mobile video game, then there's got to be some safe way where people can help each other out by just placing defense or moving them without fighting. That's not going to cost the alliance significant points, because no one should have to, like, be terrified to tell their alliance, hey, I've got a date tonight, or hey, my kid is sick and is in the hospital, and I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to look at my phone because my freaking kid is sick. I don't want you to fight for me, but I do know we've got an alliance war coming up, and if somebody could just place my defenders, that would be great. I don't know about you, but I don't look at that as an unethical thing. If you're not fighting for someone and you're just making sure they're placing, or maybe just needing to use their energy, I look at that as just helping them out. And maybe that's me being a bad YouTuber because I'm not 100% saying you should never log in for someone, but life happens. And I'd much rather we have the ability to place for someone's defense or move them without the fights, and give them a reason, especially if they're a great person who's helped out the alliance for multiple years, give them a reason not to leave or get booted from the alliance, then say, hey, sorry, we can't risk the 300-point deduction of piloting, so either you're going to have to log in at that hospital bathroom and leave your kid, or else, sorry, find a new alliance. That's ridiculous, right? Like, ethically, that is so unbelievably ridiculous. And I am so against piloting, trust me. It just infuriates me to where I'm trying to keep my cool and keep this channel family friendly, because there have been so many times where clearly alliances have just had one person do all the fights, even if it's the alliance leader who's just the best and the most skilled, and that's not fair to everybody else who's playing by the rules. But placing defense or just moving somebody because no one else can get to the node for the next 2 hours and alliance quest is ending in 2 hours, you know, that's different, at least in my book. And maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe you're somebody who's going to comment on this video and say, whatever, prof, no one should ever log in for anyone for any reason. That's considered piloting, and I think it's shameful that you are discussing some scenarios that don't involve fighting, that someone could help out somebody in their alliance. I know that I've seen instances, be it rare ones, in the 3 years I played this game, where it's perfectly understandable why somebody can't move in energy. I knew somebody that literally dropped their phone in a lake and had no device, and it was the weekend, and even if they had the money, they couldn't get a new device until Monday, and it was in the middle of an alliance war, And so they sacrificed their path, but somebody still needed to, move them in Alliance Quest as well. Like, what are those people supposed to do? Just be like, well, I guess we're fighting with 9, and if you're the only person on that path, well, I guess we've lost because we don't want to lose those 300 points. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Please, if you feel like you do know and you're watching this video, give me some insight. But otherwise, let's try to help each other out and figure out how we can continue to enjoy this game without being so paranoid that if you do anything at all, even log in from a third device in your house under your own account, that this could cause piloting. We shouldn't have to be so paranoid that if we're doing things that are not illegal and are doing things that hopefully are not shady, we shouldn't get penalized and have the entire alliance lose points. So that's the video for this evening. I'm not sure if you agree or disagree, but certainly this is a problem that continues to come up in the game, and so I thought it warranted a video. Thanks for watching, YouTube.